Okay, here we are in the heart, day 2. So, feeling a lot about the heart, like we spoke about in the live feed, the hearing. Also, today I want to look at honesty, just being honest, being vulnerable, being open-hearted. So, I want to talk about that a little bit, and then some exercises and practices we can do throughout the day, because let's all just become aware for a moment that we've all put up some kind of protection, some kind of walls around our heart because of what has occurred, what has happened with other relationships and things in our past that has made us feel like we have to protect ourselves so that we don't get hurt. So being hurt is kind of like the trigger, the thing we're resisting, the thing we put up the walls about. So let's look at that for a moment. On this spectrum of pleasure to pain, where we tend to the side of pleasure and we tend to resist the side of pain, unless, and it's been brought up recently, and I feel like it's appropriate to speak it in this group, especially since we're working with Kundalini and sexuality, that often pain is more acceptable or enjoyed or required or requested during a pleasurable act because of that polarity balance being there. And why that makes it such a powerful space for creation also is because of that, the possibility of that dynamic of pleasure and pain coexisting. So where we may not resist pain in that sphere, we tend to not want to get our hearts broken, right? So we all get super careful about how we approach situations that have to do with our heart, which is all relationships, really, but especially intimate ones. We put our other parts of ourself forward first, maybe our bodies or our minds or our nurturing capacity, all the things that we feel safe giving, that we feel safe opening to. Maybe we feel safe sharing some of our creative parts of ourselves. And then there's like the heart stuff. And this is even with, friendships, or, there's certain things you recognize that you have kind of hierarched in your life, that there's certain people you just don't get into certain stories with, right? Your coworkers may not know all your intimates, and then your friendships know more, and then as you get into your intimate relationships, you're sharing deeper stuff. And why, like, best friendships end up being so amazing, because you feel like you have a safe place to share those vulnerable heart spaces. But as we're really opening up to and tuning into our Kundalini, our cosmic energy, and we're bringing it here, and we're feeling the powerful force of love that's really gated here at the heart, ready to just pour into reality, ready just to pour into our relationships, and how to navigate what might come up there as we interface with other people's heart space. So the thing to understand, that as our hearts open, it also mirrors to the people that we're around. So it's almost like testing or asking gently that their heart to also open in this way. And this is where we get to see where wounds are, if someone is willing to share, sometimes even unwilling to share. When we open our heart, it naturally makes a place for other people to put their heart emotions, and that might come out in fits of anger, it might come out in resistance or perceived rejection, or like all these things that they have in their heart swirling around. And as we open our heart to love, those things start to come in, almost like they're looking for a place to go. Somebody texted me and it knocked my phone over. So it's almost like they're looking for a place to go. So our open hearts become the invitation for the painful stories and actions of others where they haven't had another place to safely put those things. So as we open the heart to this cosmic energy, we become receptacles, we become magnets, we become sacred temple spaces for that love. Okay, so as someone is I'm finding that people are starting to release their stories, in my presence. And as you start to work with your heart, like you start to hear more and more, you become a safe space. People feel like they can tell you their things. And the exercise as this happens is to breathe between hearts, like I spoke about yesterday. And I'm also feeling this. Yesterday it felt like a cosmic toilet bowl. Where it felt like some of that stuff just wanted to flush and recycle and grow and through the trees, through love. But today it feels shortened. It actually feels like that pain, it already is this beautiful, fertile energy that can just go right into the roots, right into like a secret garden, if you will. And we could imagine this secret garden. Maybe it's in our heart, maybe it's in a space around our heart, so that when we're getting the stories of others, it's nourishing the seeds of hope, the seeds of possibility, the seeds of great things to come. Because as we know in physical gardens that we use compost, which is often, another animal's shit, to fertilize what's going to be beautiful things. So if we can also feel that as we're being safe spaces for the stories of the heart, and we're listening, really listening to the story, so that we activate that empathic, emotive space in the heart, which actually does open the heart chakra and allows this, I feel like a temple space open in the chest. Like this is the pillars of the temple of my heart. My rib cage is the temple structure, and at the base of it is this soil of possibility, and all of the listening to the other people's stories and to their truths. And sometimes we have one also we want to share, need to share. There becomes the moment to do so, that we can allow those stories into the garden to become as fertilizer. And then our offering back in just holding space is that these flowers of possibility, of hope, of abundance, of love, of forgiveness, of all these things that, could be the transformer of those other emotions, those painful emotions, could allow for their transmutation, their alchemical shifting and morphing into something new. Our hearts are the space for that. So feeling that as you find yourself in spaces where you're hearing a heart cry, you're hearing a wound, now is the time. It's just starting. People starting to feel like they can't hold it in anymore. And I think this is the place between those people who just decide to check out, or if you keep going, and then life is starting to bring hardships to you if you're not fully aligning on your path, right? So those hardships press people right now into tight spots. And it could be anything from just not knowing where you're going to live, family or friends, severing of relationships. It could be losing a job. It could be all those things at one time. It could be legal stuff. It could be all kinds of things. And those are the pressure devices of the universe that allows us to bring focused attention again to what things need to be brought forward. And so in opening the heart, those vulnerable stories, those raw places, are the spaces of an invitation to grow something beautiful in the garden of your heart. That's what this energy can do here. So play with that today. Be a listener. Listen to the stories. Imagine them going into the seeds and fertilizing these things, and see what beautiful things grow around you. I'll talk to you tomorrow.